Okay, we'll be getting started in one moment. Okay. Okay, perfect. We are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grassroots Voices with Robin and Friends, where community and politics meet. I like to start the show, give people a few minutes to hop onto the live stream, and then I'm going to go ahead and share the Facebook live throughout all of our groups. So in the meantime, I like to just start with a couple of videos. And these videos have a lot to do with issues we've been talking about for the last maybe 2 months since we've had the show going on. So we'll give people a chance to hop on. I'm going to start the videos. Today's episode, I'm super excited to recap the Atlanta rally in March for Reproductive Justice. So we'll be joined by Reid Jones and Jen Nelson, who were two of the co-leads for this year's march. So again, I'm going to go ahead and start the videos, and then I'll check back, and we will then start the show.
As Native people, we've been fighting for this right to vote. And here we are in 2021, and we're still fighting.
We need people who not only understand the challenges in our communities, but are willing to advocate for them.
We want Natives to get to the polls to vote so their voices are heard.
It's important to all of us.
We are Indigenous peoples. Our votes and our voice matters.
Elections carry historic consequences. Call your elected officials today. Tell them to protect our freedom to vote.
So yes, happy Indigenous Peoples Day. I hope everyone got the memo that the name has changed from Columbus Day. So it's really cool to see how we can celebrate Indigenous people, Native people, and people who have been, impacted by the genocide in the United States against Native people. So I want to show this other video from Fair Fight. Congress has a legislation out there called Remove the Stain Act, which would revoke the medals of honor from American soldiers awarded for the slaughter of hundreds of Lakota people at Wounded Knee. It's a really interesting video. I'm going to play it, and then again, we'll get started in a few minutes.
Finding the mass grave of our people at Wounded Knee in a mass grave. This is inhumane. This is not how human beings are treated.
My relatives didn't make it. They were hunted down in a 5-mile radius. Our women and children, they were killed too.
I have never heard of a more brutal, cold-blooded massacre than that at Wounded Knee. Women with little children on their backs, and small children powder burned by the men who killed them being so near as to burn the flesh and clothing with the powder of their guns. And nursing babies with 5 bullet holes through them.
I gave a talk at Wounded Knee when we brought the ghost shirt back from Glasgow, Scotland in 1998. One of the things I said was, we look to the 7th generation to rise up, cast aside despair, and I can't remember the rest of it. But I'm looking to the 7th generation on all of the folks to support Remove the Stain Act.
The weight of the massacre has been passed through my family with great sadness and tears, as have the many other traumas that have greatly affected our communities. In some ways, I cannot fully grasp the full scope of everything that has transpired here today, but I really, truly feel the connection, unity, and solidarity. And I hope that all of our communities can move forward with healing.
Powerful. All right, so we're just giving people a few more minutes to hop on. I'm going to show a few more videos and then we'll get started.
Welcome back to Revolt Black News. Now, we're going to kick off our mayoral race series for the greater Atlanta area because there's actually a voter registration deadline approaching on October 4th. Joining me now is Sandy Springs mayoral candidate and potentially its first Black mayor, Mr. Dante Carter. Welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, Ebony, thank you so much. How you doing today?
Excellent. Now, Dante, you have a professional background in broadcast journalism. You've also worked in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and then you started your own PR firm. So tell us a little bit about how this diverse professional experience will prepare you well to be the mayor of Sandy Springs.
I think it prepares me well to be the next mayor of Sandy Springs because I'm bringing diverse experience to the table. Especially with my PR firm, you know, we worked on the cases of providing exposure for the Ahmaud Arbery case. We worked with Attorney Gerald. Many of the attorneys went in the surviving R. Kelly case, and we've done the same with the Jimmy Atchison case here in Atlanta, which we brought so much exposure to that case. It forced the feds to take a look at body cameras and having those used on their field agents. And so from the beginning of my career to the end, I really worked on changing policies that benefit our community and really provide equity to us all. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. Right now, we don't have anybody in office that looks like the other 50% of the population here in Sandy Springs. And we've got to change that. We got to put people in office that understand those plights and that are going to work and fight for change. And throughout my career, I've shown that I'm a fighter. I've shown that that's what I do. And that's what I'm going to do as mayor here in the city of Sandy Springs.
All right. Now, also, you are running against a Republican incumbent, Dante, Mayor Rusty Paul. He's serving his second term. As you say, he does not look like us. What do you think makes you different, other than obviously the race? What critiques would you have of your opponent?
You know, the reality is COVID has really hit this entire nation hard. In Sandy Springs, we've got Scottish Rite, we've got Northside, we've got St. Joe's Hospital. We've got 3 extremely large and busy hospitals here in Sandy Springs. Our doctors are overburdened, they're overworked. They're fighting to get beds for their patients. And so when we're talking about what he's done, it's a complete F. We've got housing affordability issues. More than 90% of our first responders can't afford to live in the city. That doesn't even include our teachers, our working families. And so we need somebody that's focused on the majority of Sandy Springs and not a small, loud minority, because that's what's hurting us, is impacting us. And so when we talk about what sets me apart is the ability to see a much larger group of people here in the city of Sandy Springs. And those groups, we're going to make an impact for.
All right. Let's say we're talking in a little bit, and all of a sudden it's Mayor Carter. What does Mayor Carter do on his first day, as elected mayor?
I'm going to be frank, I'm going to be real, but I mean, what we need on the first day is bold and courageous leadership. And when I talk about bold and courageous leadership, I'm thinking specifically about what I've gotten from listening to the doctors about mandating vaccines. We really got to ensure that we can get out. I've got a 3-year-old daughter. I want to ensure that she's got a right, that she's able to embrace her right to live, right? And then we've also got to take it a step further. People don't understand how much power mayors have. During the civil rights movement, our leaders, Dr. King, all of them, they were marching against the mayors, the city council folks, the county commissioners. Those were the folks who stood in the way of progress. And the president had to intervene because those folks stood in the way of progress. So when we talk about those first day initiatives, we got to talk about going back and signing the George Floyd embassy bill. We can do that locally. We've got to get people in the office that can see that. So that's something I'm going to fight for. I'm going to tackle voting rights. We've been endorsed by Stacey Abrams and Fair Fight, and that's because earlier this year, we put together that protest here in Georgia that kicked things off nationally with fighting for voter rights. And those are things that we're going to work to do, but you got to be in those executive seats to make a change. The president, the governor, the mayor. And that's why I'm fighting to get in the seat so that we can take care of our citizens.
I can tell. I like that enthusiasm. Before we let you go, Dante, you told us about a lot of your policy plans as mayor, including local justice reform acts and things of this nature. One thing is on a lot of people's minds right now is the increasing wealth gap between Black and white Americans. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some policy plans or agenda items you'd like to see happen in your community as it relates to Black home ownership and other wealth building mechanisms?
You've got a city that's nearly 50% minority, and they're not getting a fair shake at government contracts. So we've got to address those things. And we got to put a policy and a plan in place that gives Black business owners and Hispanic business owners and women-led businesses in the city of Sandy Springs strong opportunities to win those contracts. What's happening now is it's a good old boy system. Again, we've got 6 Fortune 500 companies here in the city of Sandy Springs. There's a lot of money, and I think that people get so caught up in the money and what it looks like that they forget about what equity across the board looks like. And so we've got to come up with some plans, and that's one of the things that I've been doing here the last 2 weeks specifically, is going out, speaking to Latinx and Hispanic business owners, Black business owners, really finding what do they want.
All right, Dante. Where can viewers who want to learn more about you and your campaign go for resources? Are there websites or social media places you can direct us? All in advance, of course, of this November 2nd general election.
Yeah, they can check me out on www.danteformayor.com. We got a ton of great resources where you can early vote, where you can mail in your ballots. We got all that information up there. And if you want to tune in to us on social media, it's Dante for Mayor on all social media platforms.
All right, Dante Carter, brother, thank you so much for joining us. And we here at Revolt wish you the very best on the campaign trail.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate the time.
Okay, shifting now.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grassroots Voices with Robin and Friends, where community and politics meet. I'm Robin. I started this Facebook Live show because I've just had so many encounters with friends and associates and just people in the political and organizing social justice space for over a decade now, but especially the last couple of years here in Georgia. And I thought, what a what could I do to, you know, elevate their voices and their work. And so I decided to start this Facebook Live show. So you can see that there are incredible change agents out there who are doing the work every day, on the ground every day, doing their best to make change and to, you know, bring progress to many policies, you know, all over the country. So, you know, please support the show. We've had some fabulous guests like Dante Carter that you just saw on Revolt. That was really cool to see Ebony K. Williams interview Dante. He's running for mayor of Sandy Springs. He was one of our special guests on episode 3 when the show first started. So please go back and check out that episode. But anything that you can do to support Dante Carter for mayor of Sandy Springs is appreciated. Election day is in a couple of weeks, November 2nd. Tuesday is election day. Early voting has already started, you know, here in Georgia. So please, even if you're not in Georgia or you're not in Sandy Springs, please consider supporting Dante. He's a father, an entrepreneur, HBCU grad. He went to my college alum, Florida A&M University, and even graduated from the journalism school like me. We didn't know each other, but you know, he's good people. He's really out here trying to make a change, and he has a very inclusive, diverse campaign, and a lot of young people are behind him and all types of people. And unfortunately, because he's blazing this trail, he could be the first Black African-American mayor of Sandy Springs. And so unfortunately, he and other Black candidates have been experiencing racism and threats and, you know, things like that in the digital space. There's an article about it, and he's had to, you know, deal with that and protect his family. And, you know, it's just so unfortunate that, you know, a lot of lies and just innuendos, racist things have been, you know, lobbied at him. And, you know, it's just, I guess, part of what it means to be a change agent, and he's not letting it get him down. So please support him. Grassroots donations, $5, $10, or if you can, you know, make calls or knock on doors or do anything to help. So please go to his website, Dante Carter, I believe it is DanteCarterForMayor.com. I'm going to bring another slide up so I can just make sure that I have the correct website. But of course, if you Google Dante Carter Sandy Springs, you'll be led to his fundraising link. So if you haven't already, please join one of our flagship groups, Team Stacey Abrams Grassroots. This was a group I started back in 2019, and it has had several different versions of the group, depending on what was going on at the moment. So right now we're focused mostly on voting rights here, as well as Texas, and just nationally supporting voting rights, as well as some races here in Georgia and across the country. So please join Team Stacey Abrams Grassroots. We also have our sister groups, Team Georgia Blue, Stacey Abrams Fair Fight Club, Stacey Abrams for President. This was started long before even President Biden announced that he was running for president. And we're actually going to meet the founder of Stacey Abrams for President today, one of my special guests. Also, a Blue Georgia for a Stronger and Progressive America, Envoys for Humanity, Disability and Democracy, and the Rural Progressive and Afro Southeast Georgian. So those are our sister groups. Please join these groups as well. You know, not all of the information overlaps. They all have each group has its own unique identity and has different members in each group. So please support our wonderful Facebook groups who've been working together over the last 2 years on all kind of legislative issues and campaigns and just general organizing around social justice. Okay, so the best way to support Grassroots Voices, to support me, to support our groups, is to like and share this episode, tag a friend in the comments if you think it's something they might be interested in, join our groups, and just keep fighting for voting rights. Everything that we want in regards to policy and legislation leads back to voting rights. If we don't have voting rights, we don't have a democracy, and so we have to protect the right to vote for everybody. Also, if you want, you can always make a grassroots donation or contribution. You know, I share that information at the end of the show, but these are all different ways that you can support the show. And I would really appreciate all that support, because we want to grow the show and continue to have more guests and to feature more people and organizations doing phenomenal work out there on behalf of most Americans and many people in our communities. Okay, so this episode, I'm so excited to speak with Reid Jones and Jen Nelson. Reid Jones and Jen Nelson were the co-lead organizers for the Atlanta Reproductive Justice March. We're going to talk to them about how to build successful coalitions, and we're going to use this Atlanta March as as a case study, I guess you could say. And they're going to share, some things that happened at the event and how it was organized and how it all came together and why it was so important to be inclusive with this rally. Because if you notice, it's not, called like the women's, it says it's about reproductive justice. So maybe they'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to just hear from them about how to get involved in activism, because they're organizers, activists, and it's people like them who help to push the needle and help to bring all the progress that we all vote for and want in our society. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. So just a minute. All right. Hello. Hi.
Hi, how are you, Robin?
How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Are you there, Reid?
Hi.
Hey, Reid.
Hi, Reid.
How are you guys?
Wonderful. So thank you for joining me. I'm just gonna, okay. Yeah, thank you for joining me. I know you all have been doing so much work just the last, I don't know if it was even a month or however many weeks it took leading up to the Women's March. It was on October 2nd. So I know you all have put so much into it and are probably catching up with life, as well these last week or two. So thank you for coming on and just taking some time to share with people, because I thought it was just really incredible the way everything came together. And I really wanted to highlight both of you because that's kind of how I was brought into some of the planning as well. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's see where to begin. Reid is the founder of Stacey Abrams for President Facebook group. How many people are you up to now?
We're about to hit 13,000 on the Facebook page.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. And then what about your other groups? Can you just share some of the other ones you've started as well?
The big one that I focus on is Stacey Abrams Fair Fight Club, which we're up to, it's 24,000 something.
Wow.
So we're getting close to 25,000. That's the big goal for the end of the year, is to hit 25K.
Yeah, so please, everyone, please go and join. You can check the comments, and there's links in the comments for the various Facebook groups and Stacey Abrams Fair Fight Club. And so, yeah, so that's kind of how, it all started. Reid, you were interested in supporting the Reproductive Justice March, and then Jen reached out to us, and we were all brought into just planning over an app with, so many people. And it just really started from like a small seed, and then for it to grow into this incredible event. So Jen, how did you get involved, or what made you, step up and want to be involved in the process of planning?
Yeah, it was definitely extremely organic. There's a local alliance called Atlanta Justice Alliance. They do mutual aid every Saturday, and we're on a lot of crossover groups on Signal. And the chat invite just got dropped in. A few of us jumped in and then just kept adding organizers as we knew people that would want to be invited, and just started hit the ground running that day, and was advised later in the day that there was already an event page for this, which is what brought us to Reid. And yeah, we just kept going, kept building, and it was amazing. We ended up with over 60 organizers and community members that got involved and made this the success that it was.
Oh my gosh. I love that. That's incredible. And I love that, when you reached out and, to Reid and to me and everybody was on the same page. And so, sometimes that doesn't always, happen with these sort of situations, but it was really great to see, like you're saying, all the different groups and organizers and everybody just, doing what they could to support the event to, help bring it together.
Yeah, it was a beautiful coalition. I didn't know what to expect. I immediately reached out to the Reproductive Justice Coalition here in Georgia, which brought in an amazing wealth of knowledge and expertise and taught us a lot along the way, so that we knew we wanted to be extra inclusive, like as inclusive as possible. We wanted to be as respectful to the movement as possible, but none of us are in that field. So it was just really incredible, and y'all were amazing to work with.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. And then what about you, Reid? What made you, get involved and step up to lead and be part of this event?
Yeah, so it's been mentioned briefly, but essentially I started the event page on the Stacey Abrams for President just fan page. And I made it not thinking anything of it really. Woke up the next morning and it had already been shared everywhere. There were already like over 100 people signed up. And so there was a meeting the next day about what we were going to do to organize a reproductive march here in Atlanta. And they immediately mentioned the event page that I had posted and said it's already gotten lots of traction. Should we just reach out to them and use that? And so that's sort of how we got brought into the process, and how we got to be a part of the digital communications team. And it was amazing. It was so much fun.
Oh my God, that's fabulous. So tell me a little bit about the day. I do have some photos, but why don't you, just talk maybe just a little bit about how the day all actually came together on October 2nd.
Do you want to get that, Jen?
Sure. Yeah, it started at 9 a.m. with the organizers getting there, trying to get everything set up. The event started at 11. So we had, just running around, getting everything as organized as we could. People started showing up very early, which was incredible. There was so much interest and amazing signs and shirts and families. I mean, there was just kids on kids and all kinds of different languages on signs. Like it was incredible. Our program, our speaker lineup and performer lineup was stellar. I cannot say enough about it. So we started off with an Indigenous prayer and song, and then went into amazing stories, calls to action. It was just a really informative and motivating rally. So we didn't want to focus on elected officials, which we love our elected officials. We need them in office. We need them to vote our voice. But for this particular event, we really wanted people to see A, what the movement was, and B, how they could get involved. So every speaker that went was just progressively going further and further and deeper into how to get involved in the movement and stay in the movement. So it was beautiful. It was amazing. The weather could not have been better. The sun was like a little cloudy, so we weren't like, I got sunburnt, but I'm like needing SPF 200 over here. And the march went off without a bang. There's us live streaming. Yeah, it was incredible. We marched to the Center for Civil and Human Rights. I had some ice cream, met up with New Georgia Project, and yeah, it was amazing.
And can you talk a little bit about, because I know there was, just a lot of brainstorming around what to call the event, and why or how did you end up with reproductive justice versus like women's rights or women's march or ban, abortion or, anything like that?
There was a lot of talk around that, and Reid was delightful and ebbing and flowing with us there, because it was like it was ready to go back and forth. We were just gonna hold rally and march. But we really wanted to be about the movement and not specifically about women's rights, because we know this issue touches everyone, not just women. We didn't want it to be specifically about abortion. Obviously, it was triggered by the Texas abortion ban, but we felt like it could be a moment where we could use the rage and use the anger that people were feeling and move that into a positive and impactful energy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that we constantly centered intersectionalism in all of our like graphics designs and digital communications discussions, where we had like at one point it was discussed whether we should have just one consistent poster or whether we should have multiple. And I love the fact that we chose as a team to go for multiple that actually appeal to different facets of the community at large. And that we got lots of people that could come in and bring their own design skills to it. And so it wasn't like officiated. There wasn't as much, it was a lot more liberal on the design team. And so because of that, we had a lot more to explore and a lot more people that we got to bring in because of it. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I also tried to center with the design for the poster. And I was so happy that Jen suggested it being the poster and that it actually got printed. But I actually wrote the message on there to try to center people who don't necessarily have the same like reproductive abilities. For example, I can't say my body, my choice at a reproductive rights rally. That would be inappropriate because it's not about my body per se and about my choices. But again, it is because a lot of it is about men's choice. And that was something that was really funny about the eggplants that showed up, and that they recentered the conversation around men and about their choices. But also the writing that I wrote for the poster was our rights, our voice, our power, our choice. And all of those can apply to both men and women. And I love the fact that I was given the opportunity through this to speak and to write something like that brought more people into the conversation other than just people who identify as women.
Yeah, that was so smart.
Yeah, your voice was crucial, Reid. And coming in as a cis man was like, and even the person that got it, off the ground initially, and then having all these ideas. I don't know if you noticed, Reid or Robin, it wasn't until we started dropping like different ones that certain people, I was watching and waiting for certain groups and organizations to share. And it wasn't until we started dropping the more, because we just did like one drop on like a Tuesday, trying to just, save the date. Mm-hmm. And then we started dropping more and more. And then that's when people grabbed what spoke to them and got it out to their networks. And it was brilliant. And Reid, your design was amazing. We got 2,000 of them printed up for the March. Mm-hmm. We have some left over that I'm sure all of these beautiful peach signs right here we'll be using at the Capitol. Oh. I'm quite sure. ASAP, but it was fabulous.
I want to get one because I never got one. So if there's extras that I would love to grab one, that would mean a lot to me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely, of course.
And have you all been involved in planning these kind of rallies or protests or marches here, or were you new to this, or has this been something you've done before?
It was brand new to me, at least to this capacity for this size of an event. Mm-hmm. I got to help some when Sunrise Movement was first launching. I hosted their first like hub event over at my house, but that was a lot different because that was more of just like 30 to 50 people. And I've done a rally around the Confederate flag in Kennesaw, and that was only about again like a maximum of maybe 30, 40 people. So I've managed it on small scale. I've never done something as big as the city of Atlanta. I've done Kennesaw and like just small grassroots stuff. So it was crazy to be involved in something to get this capacity and with this many people involved, especially with all the security. And I was so thankful not to have like the power delegated properly and people brought into this process that knew how to do safety, how to do medic, and who could actually run events like this. But from a digital standpoint, I had never reached this amount of people. Like the email list that we made got more than 500 people on there. I think we still need to distribute that to sponsors and stuff, but that was insane. And getting more than like 1,000 people on an event for within a month and doing it permitless was insane. Just having that many major organizations willing to go, even though we still didn't have permit, like New Georgia Project and Planned Parenthood was incredible. And it was such a success. And so many people showed up that it was never questioned. It was never of concern. So yeah, I think it was great. We had an amazing time. We made the news. Everyone was happy. I saw the posters everywhere and I cried at some of the photos. And yeah, I had such a great time being in this, and I was so thankful to even have been brought into the process.
I'm so proud of you, Reid. I tell you, who would have thought, just a couple of years ago that, that you would be doing this, so.
Yeah, for sure.
You.
Thank you. Oh, you guys have contributed so much too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And then
Jen literally ran the digital comms team and was directing it all and handled a lot more of the community aspect than I did.
And then what about you, Jen? Have you had experience in these type of events? And
yeah, I'm pretty similar to Reid. So my organizing is pretty recent over the last 3 to 4 years. And for me, I've definitely been I consider myself more of a foot soldier. Like I just show up, do what you tell me to do, whatever you need, and just support, organizations. So for this, I would say the biggest event that I had been a part of organizing prior to this had been maybe like 200, 250 people for Stop Asian Hate. And the crowd size that security and medic were not ready for this crowd size at all. I felt like I was emotionally ready for as many people as wanted to come, but I was very, very pleased with how everything turned out. Like logistically, we didn't have more than like maybe 50 to 100 waters left over, things like that, so we were definitely, I felt like we over prepared, but when it came down to it, it was like everything just felt right into place. So yeah, it was absolutely bananas on the back end. And yeah, 3.5 weeks pulling it together was with everybody having jobs and travel and all of these commitments already. It was intense, but it was amazing.
And
I still can't believe we pulled off the event that we did in that short of a time.
Yes, so much goes into it. That was my first time, from like the ground up being part of like a large, march or rally, outside of like campaign stuff. But it really started from, just the initial, idea to like the initial Zoom call. And then over those weeks, I had no idea how much went into it, especially like you were saying with the security and having water and making sure you have a route and, what the message is going to be, because otherwise, things can get muddled. But I was going to ask too, so what drives you as an organizer, activist, like what compels you to actually follow through and take action versus, maybe just supporting an issue, but you're not putting yourself out there, on the ground or at the forefront of it?
I will say, I think being part of a marginalized group, I have a disability and I identify as queer, and that has always made me different or weird or whatever all these labels growing up in a small town in Georgia wanted to apply to me. So I don't think that I ever saw myself being an activist. Honestly, I'm sure Reid can attest, and Robin, I don't know where you grew up, but here in Georgia, where it's like liberal and Democrat and abortion. These are all cuss words, right? These are all things you don't talk about. You just aren't, you don't do. So I never saw it happening, but it definitely just became something that I wanted to be a part of. I knew when I got to Atlanta in 2015, after moving around the country a little bit, landed back here in Georgia, and just felt like, what can I do? I think there was a lot in the national dialogue that was going on that was making people that look like me like recognize our privilege and see like the power that we have to help dismantle it versus continue on in our comfort zone. So that would be my motivation.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, mine's, pretty much the same. Being LGBT, I see that as my family first, because that was who was there for me when I was at my lowest point, was my LGBT friends. And that was my family, even when my own family wasn't there. So because of that, I see myself in people that other people wouldn't necessarily see themselves in. Whether that be racial background, gender, like I see LGBT people in every classification. And so because of that, I see myself in everyone, if that makes sense. And that's what I fight for, is my family,
Oh, that is beautiful. Well, I love that you all took the time, and both of you definitely have like expanded my mind on various things, whether you've known it or not. And it was really an honor to work with both of you. And you all pulled it off, because I couldn't even keep up with the signal after maybe week 2.5. And then as more groups,
we abused the signal. That was not how that's meant to go.
I love that it's still active today, and I'm still getting notifications today from the signal of the event that happened 2 weeks ago.
I don't think either one of y'all got to come to the debriefing last Tuesday. We just did a Zoom, but people were literally like, it's been 3 days and I haven't spoken to y'all and I miss y'all. How are we going to keep this going? So it's I think a lot of the momentum that's still in the group chat is
honestly,
people just
I appreciated the signal so much when Facebook had its blackout, because I had one little place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was still alive on the internet.
That's where I found out about it. Was on the signal.
Yes, Zuckerberg could not touch us there. No. We built an amazing community within that community building that we were doing. So I feel like there's going to be so much more collaborating and so much more organizing that we all do together as a group. And I very much so look forward to it. Y'all are incredible.
So excited. Okay, well, anything you want to leave us with, Reid? I know you have a lot of great things happening with your page, and so anything you want to leave us with? Or
well, I think this should be a shared announcement, but we're going to go see Stacy. So we're going to go see her it's November 9th, right? Yes. So that's super exciting, and that could mean very big things for the page. So keep posted, keep updated. Should we start an event page for it?
I think we should.
Robin and Reid goes to see Stacy.
Yeah, let's do it. R&R.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, actually, it's funny. I'm going right after we close out. I'm gonna show the I think it's StaceyAbramsTours.com. I started talking about it last week, but yeah, she's going to different cities across the country. So
another one tomorrow too.
Tomorrow?
She has another one. Nice. Yeah, I think October 12th is the next showing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. My bad.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, so she is on the road. Yeah, so definitely, I'll show the slide next. So if people want to catch her, and she's going to various cities across the country. So that is so exciting, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. I'm so glad to be going with you.
And what about you, Jen? Anything you want to highlight or throw out there? Just in general, it doesn't have to be about the Reproductive Justice March.
Well, I do want to actually, if we could, I'll put it in the comments of this, but abortionislegalingeorgia.com is going to be the hub for all things reproductive justice in and around Atlanta. So please visit that website. It'll link you to all of the socials that we put up for this particular event. It's at Reproductive Justice ATL on Twitter, Instagram, and it's linked on the event page here on Facebook. But yeah, I just want to put out into the ether that we are going to turn the state around one day, like every day, day at a time, baby steps. It is a uphill battle. We have redistricting happening next month, which is going to be another fight. The abortion ban's already going to drop before session starts in January. So there's a lot of work to do. If anybody wants to get involved and isn't sure how, please do visit that website, DM me or Reid. I'm sure Robin, anybody. We would love to have as many hands as possible.
Yes. And repeat the first website you were saying,
abortionislegalingeorgia.com.
Okay, great. We can put that into the comments.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Well, thank you all so much for taking the time. And it was just great to see you again and, connect and just, recap all the wonderful work you all did. So great job. It was outstanding. And you should be so proud of yourselves.
You
Yes,
too.
thank you, Robin.
You so much.
Yes,
Y'all
you're
have
welcome.
a great night.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Yay. So thank you again for everybody who came out. I know some people in our group were there. I saw some of the signs and some of your photos. So that was, really cool. I hope that we won't have to keep having marches like this. As Jen was saying, we have to make progress and continue to protect reproductive justice rights and make sure that we are, continuing to build those coalitions with one another, because again, one group is disenfranchised impacts, another group. So it's all interconnected. So that's why we have to make sure we support one another. All right, so as Reid mentioned, we are going to be joining leader Stacey Abrams November 9th on her tour. She's going to be having a conversation with people about, I'm sure, voting rights and other issues, as well as probably talking about her book or books, because she's had so many books released over the last couple of years. So you can go to StaceyAbramsTour.com, and that's where you can find the schedule for her tour. She's already on the road apparently. And she's not just going to, big cities like, LA, Chicago, New York. She is going to smaller cities and communities across the South. And, for instance, Durham, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, some areas in the Midwest and out West. So please, if you get a chance to check her out, please go to the tour. You can tell her, that you're part of our Facebook group. She may or may not know what you're even talking about, but hopefully, someone does, but, go out and show your support. And it's a great opportunity to hear her and be able to see her and meet her. And then it's always a very diverse group that comes out to hear her. So it's really fun. So please go out and support Stacey Abrams on her tour. Our next order of business is Freedom to Vote Fall. That's still going on through Verified Action. For those of you who need an update on voting rights, you can watch the last episode, episode 9, as well as episode 2 of Grassroots Voices. I go into detail about the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. This is the act that will activate pre-clearance, which is what the many Southern states used to have before they were able to change any laws in regards to voting. They had to get pre-clearance from the Department of Justice at the federal level because of the history of Jim Crow and voter intimidation and racial violence around voting in the South. That law changed during 2013 Shelby v. Holder case, where they said that the Southern states no longer need pre-clearance. And it was really literally hours after that, different Southern states, I think North Carolina maybe kicked it off, but don't quote me, but hours after that decision of taking away pre-clearance, they started making changes to voting rights laws ever since 2013. And now we're here today. So we want to make sure that we get the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act passed, and that we get pre-clearance again for the Southern states. So they have to have their laws reviewed by the Department of Justice in order to change them around voting. The second bill is the Freedom to Vote bill. This is separate from John Lewis Voting Rights Act. So it's two bills that you need to call your senators about today. And that number is 833-465-7142. 833-465-7142. You just call, you put in your zip code, and Fair Fight will connect you with your senators. And you just leave a message. You can say that, voting, the Freedom to Vote Act is necessary to protect all citizens' rights to vote. It protects our democracy, regardless of which zip code an American lives in. And we need both bills to make sure that Americans continue to register to vote, to cast a ballot, and have their ballot fairly counted. So the Freedom to Vote Act, this came out of the For the People's Act, which was around earlier in the year. And this is the revised or new version. It's called Freedom to Vote. And it's going to make voting more uniform across the country, and protect vote by mail, and make sure that people are able to register to vote in a timely manner. So those are the two bills you want to call your senators about: John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. Next, we are also promoting eliminating the filibuster. The filibuster is this a relic of Jim Crow, a relic of the past. It's just a way to keep a minority of the Senate in control of the majority of the Senate. It's preventing any progress from happening around any kind of legislation you can think of, criminal justice, police reform, climate change, voting rights, infrastructure, everything that we want to get passed, everything, student loans, everything that we've voted for, in this last election is at stake because of this filibuster. So I don't know if it's going to happen this year, or next year, or the next 4 years, or whatever, but it has to go eventually. And so we have to keep putting pressure on our senators to eliminate the filibuster. So Common Cause, the bottom right corner of the screen, Common Cause, they are doing all sorts of petitions and postcards. So if you, again, check the comments section, go to Common Cause, sign the petition, and again, help us to eliminate the filibuster. And next week on our next episode, I can't believe we're already at 10 episodes. So, I mean, that was, this show started August 13th, and here we are, not even, a couple of months later, and we're already at episode 11. So we're going to continue the discussion about reproductive health care. I'll be joined by special guests from Planned Parenthood Southeast. Lauren Frazier, she's the Director of Communications for Planned Parenthood Southeast. And I'll be also joined by Bev Jackson, one of the recent board members of Planned Parenthood. And we're going to, again, talk about reproductive health care, share, some things beyond abortion, but other issues that bring women into Planned Parenthood, and why it's so important that all of us support reproductive health care, because at the end, it's about health care, people's health, their bodies, and their right to be able to make certain decisions regarding their bodies with their healthcare professional or in their life. So we're going to hear a little bit more about what Planned Parenthood is doing and where they see things going as far as the reproductive health care justice movement. All right, so we have to turn up the pressure on Governor Brian Kemp. He is doing what he does, following Trump. For those of you who did not catch it, Stacey Abrams gave an interview on CNN, and they played a little clip where Donald Trump was in Georgia, and pretty much he was endorsing her for governor, even though she has not announced that she's running for governor, but he endorsed her for governor over Kemp because he's mad Kemp didn't do what he wanted him to do. But yet Brian Kemp still is going out trying to curry favor with Trump. It's really sad and pathetic. But what's even more sad is that Brian Kemp will not expand Medicaid. Here we are in the middle of a pandemic. We have already a healthcare system that isn't equitable for all types of people in this country. Not everybody has healthcare, and you know, a lot of people have been hit economically, you know, employment-wise, business-wise, because of the pandemic. And people, you know, are sick, and whether it's COVID or just other issues, and they need access to healthcare. I mean, here in Georgia, I think it's about 10 or so hospitals closed in the last 10 years, which we'll see a clip from Senator John Ossoff and Senator Raphael Warnock, and you know, they touch on that. But it's Brian Kemp could expand Medicaid, and he's refusing to do it, and he's turning down hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government on this issue. So we have to turn up the heat on him, and we're going to see in these videos why it's so important that we do this, and we do this now.
And plus, just like the AIDS vaccine, mandating it didn't work.
It is of grave concern when our highest ranking elected official in our state provides misinformation, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Georgians rely on public officials, especially the governor of our state, to provide accurate information when it comes to public health. This only re-emphasizes why it is so urgent for our state to take up full Medicaid expansion during the special session later this fall.
We have the data that shows that Medicaid expansion works, not just in giving access to healthcare in general, but it specifically works to reduce HIV rates in states that have expanded Medicaid.
I was honestly quite shocked. It was said with confidence. It was built into a narrative about why vaccines could not be required. It was a core message rather than a misphrased aside, and it was still incorrect.
Multiple times in the past year, Kemp has made reference to a non-existent AIDS vaccine as justification to be a do-nothing governor who puts his politics before the health and safety of those he is supposed to serve.
Yeah, he won't even add this to his agenda. I mean, anyway, let's hear from Senator Ossoff.
In Georgia, we've lost 9 hospitals in the last 11 years. Senator Reverend Warnock and I campaigned in Cuthbert, Georgia. Their hospital closed in the middle of this pandemic. Can you imagine? The only hospital for hours around in your community closing in the middle of a pandemic. And these hospitals in Georgia have closed in large part because our state political leaders have refused to expand Medicaid. I met a woman in Cuthbert last year whose brother experienced a medical emergency on Thanksgiving, had to be rushed to Columbus, Georgia. That's over an hour away to treat that medical emergency. And even folks who live in communities where the hospitals have stayed open can't afford the care, can't access the care because Georgia has refused to expand Medicaid. We have the chance now in Congress to change that. We have a moral imperative to expand Medicaid. As Senator Reverend Warnock said, access to health care shouldn't depend on where you live or who you are. Healthcare is a human right. We can make that a reality across this country by taking action now.
Yay, we love our senators, Ossoff and Warnock. So again, this is just more of a reason why we have to make sure that we vote and protect our vote, is because we can't have people like Governor Kemp who won't do the right thing for people, but again, is playing politics and is just worried about currying favor to Donald Trump. So please, again, make sure you call 404-656-1776. If you get a message, just leave a message. If you don't get them, call again and please support him adding, expanding Medicaid to his agenda, to this upcoming legislative session, and just keep the pressure and the heat on him, because it really, honestly, definitely impacts people's lives, whether they're going to live or die in many cases. So it's the only right thing to do. All right, so again, Fair Fight is proud to endorse Dante Carter for Mayor of Sandy Springs. Again, please support Dante. You know, he's coming up on the end of his campaign. November 2nd is election day, and we want to show our support. And we're not supporting, you know, any ideas that, you know, people who don't want progress and are going to use racism and violence and threats. We're not going to let those people win. We are going to just keep moving forward. And he's got a wonderful team. So please go to danteformayor.com. And again, donate a couple of dollars, see if you can volunteer, knock doors, phone calls, or just contact people that you know that live in Georgia or Sandy Springs and ask that they come out and support this race. If you have any show ideas, comments, guest suggestions, please email me at grassrootsvoices999@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for those people who have reached out to me, and I'm working on some of your show ideas and guests. So that helps me to know, because I don't know everything that's going on out there. And I know there's so many people really doing phenomenal work. So please bring them to my attention, organizations, guests, or any specific stories that you want covered. And again, if you want to support, you can support through grassroots donations, $3, $5, $10. You can Venmo me or send via PayPal. This show takes a lot of work, time, and energy, but I really do it as a labor of love, because I, again, want to elevate these voices and change agents and organizations who are out here doing a lot of work to bring progress. So, you know, I love to do this. But if you want to support, you know, that way, sometimes people say they want to take me for lunch or coffee or a drink or something. And, you know, if they're not in town or they're not able to do it, then sometimes they'll send me a Venmo or PayPal. So if you want to do that, that's fine. I'll say thank you and I'll receive it. But that's not the only way to support the show. Like and share this episode, tag a friend in the comments, make sure to join our groups. You can check the comment section. There should be links to all the groups. You can sign up and join the groups. And please keep fighting for voting rights. Again, voting rights connects everything else that we want to see happen. And it's important that we hold our elected officials accountable, doesn't matter which party, make sure we're holding them accountable and that they're doing what we voted them in to do. And if they're not doing it, then you vote them out. But either way, we have to protect our right to vote, to register, to cast the ballot, make sure it's counted. All right, so I'm going to end the show with one more video. And other than that, I will see everybody next week. So again, thank you for joining Grassroots Voices with me, Robin, and my friends. And we are where community and politics meet. So thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate all the support, and I will see you all next week.
Just want to just really take some time to just shout out Dante. First of all, many people probably don't know how tirelessly he works, A, for his community, B, for his craft, and C, for his family. He's a man of faith, a man of great integrity. I've known him for several years, and I'm always so in awe by him, because he's self-motivated. And when you're an integrous person, you move differently than everybody else. You're not motivated by money. You're not motivated by, getting your name in lights. You're motivated by something deeper, something more concrete. And the word that comes to my mind right now is the word legacy. And so, I can tell you all the things about, professionally, him working in television news, him starting his own business and just breaking away from the pack by doing work within the justice space. But what I feel is most impressive about him is just his simple humanity. He's such a human person, and he really brings his heart to everything that he does. And if we all could just simply aspire to just be a tenth of that, we would probably be a much better world.
I just love that, you all. You have to, when good people run for office, you have to get behind them and support them. Again, it doesn't matter if you live in Sandy Springs, doesn't matter if you live in Georgia, it doesn't matter if you live in a red or blue state. Please support Dante Carter. You know, just a few dollars goes a long way, especially in the last couple of weeks during Get Out the Vote or GOTV, which is when people actually start voting. That's like a new phase that the campaign goes into to turn out the vote. So any money that you can donate, which is so easy, that's going to be able to help them have the resources that they need in these final weeks and final days. And again, you know, a lot of times people have like such a negative view of politicians, but then, you know, it's very hard to get out there and run to vote, and it's expensive. And, you know, there's a lot of hurdles, you know, depending on who you are. And, but for the average person, it's just not easy for people to get out there and vote. So when you do have someone like Dante who's willing to step up and who's out there in integrity and authentic, we have to get behind him and support him. So again, please support Dante for Mayor. Go to danteformayor.com, and I will see everyone next week. Again, thank you for joining Grassroots Voices with me. This is Robin, and I will see everybody on the next show next Tuesday. All right, have a wonderful evening.